For operators listening, it's really important to ensure that you're focused on high quality content, pairing that with a high quality audience, whether that is growing organically or just targeting the right people through paid acquisition.
Hey, Alessandro here. Before we get started, I wanted to ask you a quick favor. If you're listening on Spotify, can you please leave a rating? It helps a lot in terms of discoverability and growth for the podcast. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of The Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory. Today with me I have Brett Dashevsky, that is the creator manager at Workweek. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Excited to be here.
Fantastic. How are you, first of all?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to stay warm here in New York City. We were just talking. We finally got some snow in New York, but I don't know if it counts as snow if it doesn't stick to the ground.
Yeah,
we had it for a good 10 minutes and then it just dissipated.
It's it's like not even like nice that, you know, you have the idea this is gonna stick and everything. It's like the annoying 1 hour that if you're out, you cannot do anything, right? So
it's just gross.
I hear you. It's the pro and con of New York City, I guess, but there are worse things in life, right?
So exactly.
I wouldn't
100%.
I wouldn't complain that much, but so usually I start the show, right, just asking a bit, of course, about yourself. What do you do? Who are you? How did you start it? And then we go more about, the company that is Workweek, and then we're going to go through the creator economy and content creators becoming like an employees, becoming content creators, and vice versa. Like, I know that it's going to be a really interesting...
Every day I'm trying to figure that one out.
It's a question. Like,
I know. It's all good. I am Brett, and I am currently creator manager at Workweek. Workweek is a B2B media company focused on individual content creators, or industry experts, as we like to call it. Kind of going a bit back, prior to Workweek and my involvement there in the creator economy, I actually co-founded my own media company alongside my brother and one of his classmates called Healthcare Huddle. Healthcare Huddle is now one of the brands underneath the Workweek umbrella. And my brother, Jared, he is the one that is now the full main creator of Healthcare Huddle, and he writes the weekly newsletter that goes out every Sunday. So we started Healthcare Huddle a little bit before the pandemic. I was a senior in college and just got a full-time job, so I had some freedom with my second semester and could relax a little bit. And my brother came up with this idea while he was in his first year, his first semester at medical school in New York City. And he realized that so many of his classmates knew a lot about the human body systems, right? But they didn't know a lot about what was going on in the actual healthcare system. So he came up with this idea of basically getting information, news in front of them. And the idea was to basically create like a morning brew for healthcare specifically, which is funny because now Morning Brew just launched Healthcare Brew, which was, no lie, our biggest fear or our biggest excitement when we were building Healthcare Huddle. That Morning Brew is who we were keeping an eye on. Basically, Jared and I talked and he tapped me to help out with some marketing. And I was always really interested in marketing and graphic design. And I saw this as an opportunity to put those skills to use for something that I originally saw as just like a fun project. We started to build out a website with our co-founder, who was our CTO, and I helped design that. And then we started to really beef up on Instagram, and that ultimately grew alongside the newsletter. And so we started to just grow completely organically, and Healthcare Huddle started to gain traction, and it turned from an idea to ultimately just a real business. And we became an LLC, and we truly thought that we were on the path to becoming this like morning brew for healthcare. That ultimately changed when we came into contact with now Workweek's co-founder and CEO, Adam Ryan, who I believe he just left The Hustle, which is another newsletter, and where he served as the president of The Hustle. He helped lead their sales team. And he reached out to Jared on Twitter, and he was just kind of looking around to maybe invest in some companies or come on as an advisor. And we met with him, and obviously we're overjoyed with excitement. And we ended up bringing him on as an advisor to Healthcare Huddle. And that's, again, another pivotal moment at Healthcare Huddle where we thought that like we had this amazing thing going, and now we got this guy who knew a lot about the industry come on board to help advise us. But I guess during that time, Adam and co-founder of Workweek, Becca Sherman, were cooking up the idea for Workweek. And so a couple months later, over the summer, this was like July time, and Adam came on as an advisor around April. He explained to us this idea that he had, which he defined as if Bloomberg and Barstool Sports had a baby. And basically take the industry, analysis of Bloomberg and pair it with the personality focus of Barstool. And he basically saw Healthcare Huddle and healthcare as an industry as a really great avenue to go down. And he saw Healthcare Huddle as that brand and ultimately Jared as that creator. And we were originally posting more consumer type content. So like stuff about the COVID-19 and just things that like you and I, who don't have a healthcare background, would understand. And Adam and Becca wanted us to be more industry focused. What's going on with hospitals? What's going on with the business of healthcare? And so we pivoted our strategy, leaned into that, and basically set ourselves up for an acquisition with Workweek, which then concluded in November. So it was almost like a year of talks and relationship building. And I joined as a full-time operator. I left my full-time job, and Jared joined as a part-time creator. He's finishing his last year in medical school. And our other co-founder is on his way and is going to be a surgeon doing saving lives. And so that's kind of where we're at now. That was kind of the quick story, but that's a bit about who I am and kind of how my entrance into the creator economy came about. And now I'm a creator manager at Workweek.
Fantastic. Amazing. Fascinating story. And let's do a step back. So before, you said many names that if you look at if you follow newsletter, right? So the Hustle, Morning Brew, right? Interesting enough, and I have a question for you, because usually what I ask it is that, especially to either entrepreneurs or also content creators, I'm always really interested in their first days or first weeks and months. So since before you said about Hustle and Morning Brew, I listened to one of these, podcast episode on My First Million, quite famous podcast, and some part interview also Reef. So the Hustle interviewing like Morning Brew, right? Now formers. But they said that at the first days, they also started in college and everything, and they were asking to each person to subscribe to the newsletter. That was the scrappiest way they can do, like you don't have anything. So let me also ask you this. How did you really start it? And first of all, how difficult was it? I guess it's not that easy to start something from scratch. And what is one maybe memory or something that was like, okay, I need to do this in order to like make it bigger? And was it anything that maybe was that sort of tipping point for you that made it realize, wow, this has potential?
Yeah, a great question. So it's funny, we studied Morning Brew to like a T, which in hindsight was a good idea because they had a lot of good initial strategies. But if we were studying what they were doing currently, as like a 5-6-year-old company, it was not the right move because we were putting pressure on ourselves to do things that, well, they're 6 years old, 5 years old, they've already done what we still need to do. So focus on where they started out. And also just the environment was different. So things that worked for them in the early days probably would not have worked for us. Of course, we were home, it was COVID, and everything was virtual. So we took similar strategies, and our Instagram started to actually do really well. And we had like a segment of posts kick off that brought in like a couple of thousand followers. And we were trying to get scrappy with like, how can we get some people to sign up for a newsletter? And ultimately, we messaged every single of like our 3,000 at the time followers to sign up for a newsletter. And we basically asked them, like, give us your email and we will sign you up. Similarly, Morning Brew, Austin and Alex, they went around in their classrooms and got people to write down their emails. We obviously couldn't do that at the time. So we did that, and it brought in a decent amount of initial subscribers. And it enabled us to actually talk like one-on-one with some of our followers, and we got a lot of great feedback that way. But a big tipping point was when we came up with the idea to build out an ambassador program. Because we saw that Morning Brew had really successful ambassador programs.
Yeah, they're like the referral system, right? The one with the points that you can get the gifts. Are you referring to that one?
So they launched a campus ambassador program. So a bit different than the broad referral program they had, but they still had the same incentives. And so we basically had to build out our own internal referral system that was specifically for these college students who reached out and wanted to be a part of what we were building. And so we did start to get a lot of outreach from college students. a lot of pre-med students, a lot of people studying healthcare administration of some sort, whatever it may be. But we couldn't like just bring them onto the team. So we're like, well, what if we built out a program, like an educational program, and then had them as part of it, like share the newsletter on their campus, act as the ambassadors, and help garner signups. And in exchange, they'll get rewards, whether it was a t-shirt or something. So we ordered a bunch of mugs, we ordered a bunch of t-shirts and sweatshirts, which we still have in my basement at home. So if you want a sweatshirt, DM me on Twitter at @Brett_, and maybe I can send you one, a Healthcare Huddle sweatshirt. And we did 2 ambassador programs prior to being acquired by Workweek, and those programs brought in each over 1,000 subscribers. So those were really big tipping points for us, and those actually served as our really biggest drivers. And it was an opportunity to build a really loyal group of followers of a community, because now we have these college students who ultimately would graduate, go work into the field, and basically lock them in for life to be like lifelong huddlers. And so those were kind of the initial strategies in the early days that we used to gain subscribers organically.
Love it. It makes sense. I mean, especially in college, like, even when I did my first startup, I was still between high school and getting into university, and you have like more spare time, and even people like they don't really have like that many problems apart from studying usually. So I get it. It's usually smart to use like, also the time, right, of other people that are not working yet, or maybe they have something on the side, right? But also I think that people at that age, you just jump on things like because it's fun, right? So you don't look for what is my benefits and health insurance if I start, sending your link to other people, right? They can't do it for a mug, right? Or for a t-shirt, as you said. So I think it's smart. Hey, quick break. This podcast is hosted by the Influencer Marketing Factory. We are an influencer marketing agency that helps brands and companies engage with Gen Z and millennials on social media. We take care of influencer identification, storytelling, creativity, negotiation, contracting, campaign management, ROI analysis, in-depth reporting, content boosting, and much, much more. Are you interested in learning more? You can find us at theinfluencermarketingfactory.com, or you can Google the Influencer Marketing Factory.
Exactly. And they just wanted to build up their resumes, and they saw that if something pertained to healthcare that they were involved in, which was obviously a good cause, we were helping to spread good healthcare information. They wanted to do that, and so they hopped on, and it was really fun. And you got to meet a lot of great people.
Yeah, you learn a lot of soft skills in that type of things, right? Yes,
definitely.
Fantastic. And so from these now Workweek, right? Maybe you mentioned that a little bit before what it is, but let's go a bit more in detail. So just briefly, what is Workweek?
So as I mentioned in the beginning, I guess the easiest, most high level way to explain it is that if like Bloomberg Media and Barstool had a baby, but we are a B2B media company focused on like business focused, industry focused content creators. And so we have content creators in a range of industries producing content through newsletters, through podcasts, through courses, through events pertaining to like marketing, pertaining to sales, pertaining to healthcare, fintech, media, and then we're moving into more and more industries. And so basically what Workweek does is it almost operates like a record label in a sense. So we have basically sold our support and what we're doing to creators and to basically entice them to come join our team, join our record label, and we will help you grow. And so the basis and the biggest problem in the creator economy right now is that or I guess the inevitable truth is that creating content is really, really hard to being a content creator. You know this with your podcast and all. What's even harder than creating content is generating revenue and monetizing yourself and growing yourself. And so what Workweek does is basically takes that burden, takes that responsibility off of your shoulders to allow you to do what you were born to do, which is create content, to be the best damn industry expert in your specific area. And we will help you grow, become a household name, and we will help you monetize. But the catch there is that, well, not really a catch, but the creators, most of them have joined full-time, but we also have some part-time creators. But Workweek actually owns the IP, so we have that protection there with the investment that we're putting into the brand. And the creators have the upside with revenue share. So if a creator is bringing in a ton of sponsorships, or they're selling a bunch of courses or events tickets, they have upside in that revenue share. And so it's a win-win for both sides, as well as Workweek boasting incredible benefits for those who join full-time. Almost operating like an in-house agency, but we are a media company and we own the IP of the brands that we have under the Workweek umbrella.
And how does it work? Like, I saw on your website that people can apply. I guess you have like certain criteria. So you just don't get everyone. Like, I guess they have to, apart from the following, I guess that they also need to be a brand themselves already somehow, right? They have to be recognizable. They might have already like something specific for their audience. So like, what is the best way, in your opinion, apart from like Workweek, like to create actually from shifting to just create content that is not a just, it's a big thing already, to being able to multiply your revenue stream, becoming like, again, a personal brand. What would you recommend? And then in case to join, for example, a media company like yours?
It really all depends on what strategy we are focused on at the moment. So for example, right now, we've been really focused on building out our marketing and sales industry pods. We call it pods of creators. And so you as a creator are more than welcome to apply to Workweek. There's obviously no guarantee of joining the team full time. And there is a selective process because we are, it's an investment in you as the individual content creator that we can build this multi-million-dollar media brand around you. And so we obviously are very picky in terms of who we want to work with. So currently a lot of the creators who have joined have had some sort of following behind them. They have some bit of traction to show that there are people who are listening to them, that they are in the creator economy. And our focus at Workweek is now to grow a creator economy focused pod or a media pod. We may look at you and just see, what does that background look like? Do you have a track record of producing content? Are you a face that is pretty open and out there and engaging with folks on LinkedIn or on Twitter, wherever your main medium may be? And so I guess if you're a creator that's listening and you're like, well, how do I get set up to come join Workweek? I just think in general, just keep creating content. Just press publish is something that I tout. And ensure that you are focused on like an industry niche of some sort, because we are B2B focused. We're producing content for business decision makers. Just kind of build that up. You don't need to have like thousands of followers, but having that form of traction is something that's super important to see that like you get it, like what's going on. You kind of are showing that you have the tenacity to push through as a creator. And then something else that Workweek has been honing in on is these operator creators. And that's basically people who are currently working in their field while also creating content. And we find that those type of creators actually produce some of the best content because they are literally sharing like the insider information of like what's going on in their space. So if you're a salesperson and you're writing a newsletter on sales, I mean, you are like sharing like your firsthand experience of something that happened the other day. And it's very real and it's very relevant. And so we found that is serving as a really great area for us to kind of lead into.
It makes sense. I mean, like what I also say all the time, it is that sometimes certain content creators, especially professionals, know much more about the industry than executives in a company sometimes, right? Because they spend so much time online, so much time with people that are like peers, right? That they have like all this information, this feedback, real time, right? That sometimes maybe certain level, like the chief of a company, don't even realize what is happening in the world, right? So I do agree that we might see more professionals that are gonna share their time between creating content and having their professional, right, during the day. We've been seeing mostly with doctors and practitioners, right, in the health, right, a lot of them, but we saw more in the makeup and beauty industry. We saw people in the food industry, right? Tell me also a bit more maybe about apart from like what we said now, like the employees that are now creators, especially for your company. Is there anything that you're seeing that is working well lately? Is it more newsletter? Is it podcast? Is it still social media accounts? Is it a mix of it? What do you see then now? Let's say that you're either starting now, or if you add to, increase your opportunities for brand deals and more things happening out there. What is it, one of that channel that in your opinion is working the best right now?
It's a mix of platforms that work exceptionally well, but newsletters specifically have proven to be really, really fruitful for our business model, as well as many other business models out there, as you've probably seen in recent years. But newsletters specifically have performed very well, mainly because if you can produce really high quality content, which is one of our focuses, and that attracts really high quality audiences, then you have a really attractive platform that brands want to partner with you on to get in front of those specific individuals. And really, they'll get like a nice bang for their buck because they are targeting, let's say, marketers, or they're targeting, healthcare providers, and like they know who they're getting in front of. But at the same time, because you as the creator produce such high quality content, those high quality audiences are really listening to what you're saying. And they're paying attention to maybe what you're promoting and whatnot. And so we've seen a lot of great success there recently. And our newsletters at Workweek are performing very well, like almost like 50% unique open rates across the board, across the industries. And then like well into the 6-7 figures of brand deals being able to come in dependent upon which industry you're looking at. And so I think that for any creators listening or operators listening, it's really important to ensure that you're focused on high quality content, pairing that with a high quality audience, whether that is growing organically or just targeting the right people through paid acquisition, whether it's Facebook ads or Instagram ads or Google ads. And then really working to build up like a quality quantity. And in that way, you're able to really build out this lucrative brand deals, and then ultimately build out brands for yourself that you have full ownership in, that you now have this big list of loyal readers that you can promote stuff into, and you have the full upside for a greater return on your investment. And at the same time, pairing your newsletter with a podcast, pairing it with social media to really increase your distribution is something that is working exceptionally well right now. And so you see a ton of people posting threads on Twitter, and then they end it and then link to their newsletter subscribe. Or they post on LinkedIn and do the same thing. And so those just kind of serve as a great top of funnel social media that helps you grow these more private platforms, which is where you can really start to make the good money and really start to build a business around yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of people are using social media for the discoverability side, right? So maybe people don't really know you, but thanks to the TikTok For You page, the YouTube Shorts, right? You get pushed with shorter content. You can use that then to bring into things that you own, like, for example, a newsletter or a podcast. And that, I think that's still like people don't sometimes understand or see that newsletters are still a big thing, especially if you were saying correctly before. If you are able to give a specific style and a way to write things, you can take something that is serious, put it with the meme cultures together, boom, you have a fantastic, unique way to tell a story. And people are going to love it just reading because also the style. Can you, I don't know, like if you have like, but you were saying before 6 and 7 digits, like brand deals. Are we talking about like per newsletter issue? Because I think that sometimes people don't really realize that with newsletters, you can make a lot of money and you can sell a newsletter for a lot of money. So, and we saw some news online, but I don't know if you have anything to share on that. Like, is how easy it is, or across the board, like, how many newsletters are making those numbers nowadays?
I don't know exactly, and I don't even know if I have an estimate in terms of like how many newsletters are performing that well, because interestingly, like I feel like people tend to be very private about that stuff through their newsletter ads and all that. Then people may be more enticed to start one. But I think it's just about understanding the fundamental benefit of newsletters. Like, you own your audience. You literally own your audience. You're not at the will of the platform. So if Twitter goes down, like, you still have your audience to connect to, and you can take that audience with you anywhere. So as long as you have their attention, you have their emails, and that's the importance of it. That's what will allow you to build this lifelong partnership and relationship with your audience. Brand deals can vary. I think it really depends on who the advertiser is. Like, we've seen at Workweek, marketing has been an exceptional channel. Just because I think like marketing gets newsletters, like newsletters are part of the marketing industry, so they know how it operates well. Starting to see it pick up a bit with fintech and a bit with healthcare, and seeing more companies in those industries wanting to reach the business decision makers. But the brand deals really vary based upon perhaps what your unique open rate is, what your click-through rates are looking like. And sometimes it's a flat rate, and sometimes it's like pay per click. But flat rates have performed really, really well in the newsletter industry. And that's something that we also are focused on. So I really think it just depends, but newsletters are there's a high potential for how much money you can make. And it's just a great way to build a strong connection with your audience, which again, if you have that, and you can convince a brand that you can sell something to your audience, then, the sky's the limit there.
And what about courses? I was talking about these in previous episodes, how you can multiply yourself, right? So if you only do a brand deal, it's a one shot, but with a course, especially online course, you can multiply, right? Like your knowledge. And once you've done it, then you have to sell it, right? You get you potentially for 10 years, right? If it is evergreen, you can still make money. Are you still seeing that as effective? Did things change it like in the past years? How do you see the online courses nowadays in the creator economy?
Yeah, definitely. So that's the idea of like productizing yourself. So it's like, how can we build a course, right? We put the work into building it out, or a guide of some sort. And then like, we can just pump it in your newsletter, for example, pump it on social media. And like that can start to make money like while you're asleep. Like you already did the work. Now you can, keep going. Courses have performed well. I think there was a big boom of courses during the pandemic. And then like it kind of plateaued a little bit, but I think it really does depend who you're targeting. Consumers, for example, may be a bit more skeptical with a course. I took a course with Sahil Bloom, his audience building course for Twitter, which was like really great. But what we're seeing at Workweek, and our big bet is that business decision makers and people who just work in industry are looking to continue their education, and they're looking to do so in really entertaining ways that aren't just like boring lectures being filmed. And so we're trying to lean into that. And also it is scalable. If we can do a recorded course, well, that can be sold to as many people as possible. If we can create a PDF guide, put it on Gumroad or some site, I mean, that can be dished out to, 7 billion people, everyone on earth. So I think courses are difficult to crack, but if you do have the marketing medium, if you have the newsletter and you have 25,000 subscribers, even 5,000, 2,000 to sell something to, and if you keep pumping it and you do a good job explaining what it is and make it enticing, well, you should be able to see some success there. But it's about really understanding like, what is it that your audience wants? What is it that you understand that they'll find useful, and how can I do so in an entertaining way?
Totally. I mean, we saw people that are giving away like courses to learn a new language, or to even like how to excel at Excel, right? There are like some examples, and they sold millions, right? So again, it's not for everyone, but absolutely, if you have the right niche, and you are able to give away something for free, just to get the trust of the people, and then you can really build on top of that. Something that I saw instead, so these like online courses. I was looking around on your LinkedIn, of course, like looking for anything that you wrote in the past, and I don't know if this is like something that you coined or something that you just like, maybe just shared, but you wrote about CPG, creator packaged goods, right? So for people listening, I'm pretty sure that they know about the Mr. Beast burger and the Feastable, so the chocolate. We have Prime, right? The energy drink. Then we have the M. Chamberlain coffee. We have David Dobrik pizza. We have plenty of them, right? Some are doing well, some are doing some failed. So first of all, do you think that is only for the big ones? Because so far it seems so, right? Like you are well known and you're able to, like even do something like that because you need a factory, you need like shipping, you need like legal, a lot of things, right? In order to distribute. So first of all, if that is for big ones, or if you ever seen any good examples of medium or micro. And secondly, just tell me a bit more about the future of like, influencers becoming co-founders of like packaged goods that actually get distributed, and it's not just online anymore, but it's actually something that you can eat or drink.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's just a big trend that we're seeing. I think your first question about, is it mainly for the big creators to command? I think that in the creator economy, it's very easy to kind of see that Mr. Beast or Emma Chamberlain or Kylie Jenner did something, and like that's something that you can do also, which you absolutely can, but they are on a completely different scale and have such a completely different reach that obviously like Mr. Beast is selling out his chocolate bars in Walmart, like the biggest superstore in the world. it's obviously it's aspirational to achieve that. I do think if you have a niche enough audience, and you've built a solid foundation there, you can build out your own products and sell stuff. So, for example, suppose that you are a coffee content creator, and you've been writing about coffee, maybe in a newsletter, or you produce YouTube content on it, and you have a couple thousand subscribers and whatnot. You can definitely launch your own line of, let's say, coffee mugs, or you can launch your own line of coffee if you want. You're probably not going to see the type of revenue that Emma Chamberlain is on a massive scale. She also has a team that's kind of running that. But you could see some success there. And there's just a lot of pride in like your audience wanting to buy that. So I do think that these products, these packaged goods that creators are launching do work better for the larger creators. But it's the idea behind it that is really what the trends are going to be, and that is creators selling something that they fully own. It's about like moving from rented distribution to owned distribution. So instead of promoting like a makeup brand, a different makeup brand, I'm just going to build out my own brand and promote it, because now I'm going to get a much higher return on investment. Like if I've seen how my promotion for that brand has performed with my audience, I might as well just make my own brand and build that out. Obviously that requires a decent amount of work, so that may be like a future thing, but that is the trend that we're seeing here. And to bring it back to Workweek, our bet is that like the HubSpot acquired the Hustle. We see it that the next HubSpot is going to come from the Hustle. That like one of the Workweek brands is going to create a software product that they can now, build and scale and then market it to their 100,000 newsletter subscribers and stuff like that. So it's about creators having full ownership over what they're building and promoting.
Very interesting. Yes, I do agree. From renting to owning, from merely promoting third party to your first party type of product. Absolutely. That is shifting. What else is shifting in your opinion in the creator economy lately? What is working? What is not working that has been getting older nowadays? What are some of the trends that you are realizing that might be interesting to look at? And then to finish on that, if there is any statistics, any numbers that you think might be interesting to share with the audience for them to understand the size and the complexity of the creator economy nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess to add on to that point before about the owning bit, we are seeing that creators are leaning more into diversifying, both with platforms and with revenue streams. And so you're seeing that creators are maybe producing on TikTok, but they are also now producing on YouTube, and maybe they launched a newsletter or a podcast because they realize that there is a need to diversify, that you can't be overly reliant on one platform. And at the same time, they're recognizing the need to diversify where they're generating revenue. So, the markets go up and down, brands have money to spend and they don't have money to spend. And like that creates like a ton of fluctuation with creator revenue, makes things very unsustainable for the creator. So again, you're seeing creators realize that they can maybe launch their own brand and have full control over that. Or maybe they're partnering with companies in exchange for equity, so they actually have an upside in the success of the company. That's kind of like a trend that we're seeing creators lean more into. In terms of like what's not working, I think I touched on it before, but I think that if you're a creator and you want to grow, like study creators that are not like 1,000 steps ahead of you. Study the creators that like were in your position just a year ago. See what they are doing. There's a lot of news and media and hype around like the top creators, and like they're absolutely crushing it. But it's very easy to like just want to mimic what they're doing. But I think that those are they're anomalies in a sense, and that sometimes it's good to just come back to earth in a sense and follow the strategies that have worked for those that were in your position just a year ago, and to keep consistent there.
And so are you also seeing any trends that either you are excited about and people maybe don't talk about, or anything that is already public and you are bullish on?
Yeah, I'm very bullish on YouTube and video.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of people recognize that YouTube and video are blowing up, and are is, some of the best channels to be on because one, just the distribution, discoverability is great there. And two, there's really great revenue share that YouTube boasts. And so, and the audience is there. And the audiences are there. So I saw a recent survey from Pew Research Center back in August that basically found 95% of teens use YouTube, with 75% visiting daily, and 19% are practically living on it. And by living on it, I mean that they are literally checking it all the time throughout the day. And now TikTok actually comes in a distant second, with 67% of teens using the platform and 58% visiting daily, and then Instagram and Snapchat trail behind there. Now, what all those platforms has in common is a video focus. So what we're seeing is just that YouTube is becoming a very popular medium. And then YouTube is also leaning into podcasting. So you're going to start to see YouTube try to take on Apple Podcasts and Spotify because just video is what newer podcast listeners, this emerging audiences are really leaning into and are craving.
Absolutely. It's interesting when you say about what is that 19% that live on YouTube? Was it?
Yeah, I kind of defined it as 90% are practically living on it, that like literally they're checking it throughout the day. They're on it throughout the day. They're eating lunch and they pull up YouTube.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what, I think that I don't know who told me, but like I know there are like people that they even have like two screens usually. And on one, there is maybe, I don't know, like a streaming service. On the other one, you have YouTube. On the other one, maybe another screen, you have like a video game. And it's always together at the same time.
Yep.
I think that's going to happen even more with Gen Alpha. Like multitasking in terms of that, it's not just multitasking. I think that you need to have like a lot of, inputs, right? Talking about dopamine and so on. But I think that we were used back in like, days, having only one screen. Now you have like a couple. And on each of them, something is happening. Think about it, like there are new YouTube shorts where there is maybe a little clip that is happening on the top. And on the bottom, there is a video game, like right there, like a walkthrough, whatever is happening.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me. Like, is it because you need it for copyright, whatever, or it is because some certain people don't have like attention span and they need to do two things at the same time?
I think it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
But another aspect of that is like streaming.
Yeah.
People will just have like someone on Twitch streaming, just hanging out there, and it's almost like they're hanging out with a person. The video content makes consumers, I feel a sense of like they're not alone. They're with people. Yeah. The content, I feel like, is getting better and better and more relatable, especially on TikTok, like scary relatable. That brings me to another point that like live streaming, I think, is going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
It's been very popular in Asia and a lot of great like live shopping and all that. And I think that we'll start to perhaps see some of that come over into the United States. It hasn't gained a ton of traction, but people love going live. It's a great way to build intimacy with your audience. Like, oh, it's a real person right there. I know I stopped to watch when my favorite creators go live. So we'll probably see that. But again, that is still video content. And then you can like literally repurpose that. Like if it recorded the live stream, you could post that on YouTube. People can come back to it. So there's just a really big trend of video content becoming more and more popular. With consumer-focused content and with business-focused content. At Workweek, we are leaning into YouTube. So that's something that's kind of coming up on our roadmaps.
It makes sense, especially when you say about we also did some other like episode, and we also did a report about social commerce and the live stream shopping. Absolutely agree with you. In Asia, especially in China, and also in Indonesia, it's something else. It's really active. It makes sense. In the US, we all thought that 2022 was the year for live stream shopping. No, it wasn't. It wasn't needed for social commerce. I don't believe it's not just, technically speaking, a gap, but it's something that is more going in historical and cultural view of markets, right? It's totally different. And also something else interesting, I think, that when you say that people want to be together with others, about the phenomenon of the lo-fi beat music, that you can go there, and if you're studying, right, you have maybe other 5 million of people connected at the same time, and you can write, be like, I've studied biology, but I don't today the weather, like, and I think that they started doing like startups where you can go in online rooms, especially during COVID, and studying with others. Even just like with the music in the background and just chatting, that I find it fascinating because, as you said, you want to be not alone and not feeling lonely, and live stream and everything can really get connected in real time with anyone else in the world.
Definitely. It's like a, one, that's like an accountability thing. Like there's other people that you're studying with. But yeah, it just live stream just feels, there's a sense of comfortability there. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it this year. And then I don't know, who knows if social commerce will catch on. Amazon just launched Amazon Inspire, their TikTok-like feed. So we'll see if that gains any traction. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon's like, we're cutting it. Like it didn't gain the traction that we thought. So definitely keeping an eye on that area as well.
And so let me ask you, last questions. I've been asking these, of course, to every possible guest these days about all the AI and ChatGPT and what is happening with the content creation. Again, like, you breathe like, content creation and creators as employees and so on. So how do you see all of these? Because I had like people telling me like it's a hit or miss. It's good, but it's it doesn't really create anything new. It's just like repurposing things. So first of all, what is your position on that? And also what is the future of all these AI content creation? Where is the bar between like, and the line between what a human being is creating? What is the value right nowadays?
Sure. I think AI, you're seeing it everywhere. It's almost getting exhausting. Everyone kind of knew the moment ChatGPT was released that people would be talking about it nonstop and it will have its Web3 type moment. But I think it has massive implications for creators. It's not going to take over creators by any means. I think it's going to help augment creators. I think that AI and the generative AI is a creator's best friend. And I've been using it to summarize articles. So if you copy and paste an article into ChatGPT, just ask it to summarize it for you in 5 bullet points, helps me kind of take away the main points of the article. So then I can use that to maybe build out a LinkedIn post or build out a TikTok script of some sort. We've seen creators at Workweek use it to basically build out an outline. So they're like, I want to write an article on the future of fintech and how neobanks are coming in to take over legacy banks. Write me an outline with like 3 main points. And like that saves you almost like maybe, let's say 30 minutes to an hour of building out an outline. And obviously you need to audit the outline to make sure that it's good. But this is what helps build like the 10X creator. How can creators scale themselves? Well, if they can use AI to cut even just a couple of minutes each day on building out their content, on creating bigger and better ideas, well, then they can completely scale themselves. That hour that you were going to do to build out your outline and sit there and procrastinate and think that was already done for you, well, that's an hour freed up to write. And then you have an extra free hour in your day. Maybe you go and create something else, or you relax and prevent yourself from having burnout. So I think that there's going to be more and more tools that will build off of like the ChatGPT or GPT-3 AI API to create tools that are specific. So like maybe there's, I know that, you see like Lex, which is a AI writing tool. And you're just going to continue to see those type of platforms become more and more popular. And I just think people are going to start to become more and more accepting of it being used. Like right now it's like, oh, use AI to write your thing. Like, no, I used it to assist me. I used it to rewrite a paragraph that was really, really long. Or I had an intro that just wasn't catchy enough for my YouTube video, and ChatGPT helped me make it a bit more catchy. And it actually led to like more views. So
like a helper, not a replacement.
Yeah, it's a helper. It's not a replacement. It's going to help augment creators, and you just need to embrace it because like the AI is not going anywhere. So like get on board, and people need to be more optimistic about these amazing technologies that are being invented. And I truly think that a lot of the posts that you see on social media that boast about it like taking over or like don't use it are just engagement bait. That those people truly recognize that this is a revolutionary tool. And like you'll know if someone posted a newsletter that was written completely by AI, you'd be like, all right, it's so generic. But it requires you as the creative human, the creative individual, to go in and still make it you. And that's why this trend in the creator economy of individuals over institutions is becoming so popular, because people are craving authenticity and they're craving a relationship with the individual. And so you need to sound like you, and you need to kind of differentiate yourself. And so that does require your own creativity.
these really meta type of messages where like they're talking about AI and it's written with AI, that is against AI.
Yeah.
And
it's absolutely insane. It's like, this was written by AI. I'm like, but it was an anti-AI thing. Oh my! Now people are just doing this to get a quick buck, or they're just they're fooling with everybody. Like, we're all being played. We're all being played. So creators listening, operators listening, AI is your friend. Be optimistic about the future with it, and try out ChatGPT for yourself. To rewrite a sentence or something, or come up with ideas. It's freaking awesome.
And Brad, I asked you many things, many questions. We cover a lot of things, but is there anything that I either didn't ask you or something that you're excited apart from what we covered so far that you wanted just to quickly share with the audience?
I've just recently been really, really excited about the future of B2B content creation. I think that B2B content creators haven't been covered enough in the mainstream media because they're kind of seen as like influencer journalists or something like that, but like they are creators. And you've seen a lot of consumer creators being covered, like YouTubers, TikTokers, but I think this year we'll see a lot more coverage and spotlight put on B2B creators who are producing content for people in certain industries. And with that, I'm really bullish on LinkedIn. And the reason being is just because LinkedIn has a massive user base of like some 800 million people or so, but like only 3 million or something are actively creating content on there. So there's a large gap for creators to fill. And you're going to start to see more and more industry B2B creators flock there because LinkedIn's craving content and they're rewarding high quality content with really great reach. And so it's an awesome platform right now to just start to build an audience. And LinkedIn is really leaning into creators. So they're doing a good job at really trying to figure out what's work and what's going to stick. So I would consider, devoting your time there and just experimenting a little bit.
Totally. And on these, I had the chance to interview a couple of people. One is the person in charge of the B2B influencer marketing for IBM. So we went through that, like how is it going to be like the future of B2B influencer marketing. Again, I do agree with you, not that covered, might be better. I also had the chance to talk with Daniel, that is also in charge of the set of content creators for LinkedIn. So he works for LinkedIn, and we also covered that. And I think it's quite interesting to see exactly what you said. Like LinkedIn is doing a fantastic job to not only just connecting people together, but also for the discoverability of the network effect and the content. And every day I'm finding a lot of interesting things. They are pushing video, they are pushing longer form. Like I do agree. Like if you're starting or want to get even more, LinkedIn, it's a great place. And they're going to find professionals. So sometimes TikTok is fine it's good for certain things, but if you want maybe to a certain criteria and filter out people, right, that is more like B2C type of thing. So you might get in front of millions of people, not necessarily your people.
Yep.
With LinkedIn, you can really filter out as much as possible. And once you get connected with people that you care and you want to be connected with, then it's a snowball effect. Like you can connect with the right person, that you connect with the other person, and so on. And I think it's going to be really a fantastic way to build your company, your personal branding, and so on. So I do agree on that. Fantastic. Well, Brett, thank you so much for joining me today. You were a fantastic guest. You share with a lot of knowledge about what you are creating, both as content creator and employee, and then like there is so much right going on right nowadays, right? Like you are not just anymore an easy role to describe. There are so many things happening all together. I think it's fascinating to see that. So thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, your journey so far. Best of luck also for what the future is, right?
Yeah.
It is and you.
I appreciate it. This was really fun. Always enjoy talking about the creator economy, and just look forward to keeping in touch and seeing you on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. The people, is it LinkedIn the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just my first and last name, Brett Dashevsky. Hopefully it comes up. And then on Twitter as well, at Brett_. So yeah, feel free to connect. And if you ever want to jam about the creator economy, just let me know.
Fantastic. I'm going to put the links in the description, so it's going to be easier for people to find you.
Perfect.
And, for everyone else, this was the Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory, and I'll see you in the next episode.